Hello and welcome back to another episode of Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy. I'm your host, David Butler, and I am here to talk more about what's coming up with free agency, what to expect, what's been happening. Anybody who might have heard, Shota Imanaga, the Cubs declined the option with him that they had, and then he declined his. But we'll get more into that here in a minute. So, the current free agents that were on the Cubs roster last year are Justin Turner. The Cubs declined a $10 million option and fought him out with at a $2 million to decline that. They had a club option. The Cubs also declined a 3-year, $57 million option with Shota Imanaga, who then in turn declined his 1-year, $15 million option. The Cubs, though, did offer a qualifying offer to him and Kyle Tucker, who is also obviously a free agent. What that qualifying offer does is it offers both of them a 1-year contract at $22.05 million for the 2026 season. If they decline that qualifying offer, then the Cubs would be in line to get draft pick compensation of some sort at the end, like once everything's done with free agency. So any team that signs him, that player, would also forfeit some kind of draft pick compensation as a result. So I don't see that being a problem with Tucker. Honestly, I don't know that I see that being a problem with Shota, depending on the price for other teams. Shota is a good pitcher. I want to be very clear about that. But Shota had a really, really rough for 3 to 4 months. And that was the fear of him at Wrigley Field and or anywhere. He is a he throws a lot of fly balls the way he pitches. And that leaves him very susceptible to allow a lot of home runs. I think if he does not stay in Chicago, I would predict he signs somewhere out west. In the AL or in the NL. Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Mariners. There's a whole lot of other options that the way he pitches fits in well with those ballparks. They're a little bigger. They don't allow as many home runs consistently and all that. Like, I think he fits well in Wrigley when the wind blows in. My fear is that happening again. However, what I think happened in the last 3 to 4 months was rock bottom for Shota. I don't think Shota is a terrible pitcher at all. I think he's an excellent pitcher who is very susceptible to fly balls. And when you don't manage that well, and by that I mean don't allow a bunch of walks, only like his splitter wasn't as effective. And the other part was his velocity went down. So if the velocity is continuing to go down and it's not going to hop back up to that 92, 93, I hate to say this, but maybe we're better off to go without. I love Shota Imanaga, and I know Cubs fans love Shota Imanaga. But this is still a business, folks. And it's not like he's been here for 12 years. It was 2. It was 2 great years. Shota Imanaga is more than just a ball player. He's a great personality. He loves Chicago and the Cubs fans. But the Cubs have to do what's the best that they can, and they don't have an unlimited checkbook the way they should. I get that it shouldn't be unlimited. They don't have the payroll that they should. Jed and Carter Hawkins do not have the payroll that they should, being in the 3rd biggest market in the United States. They just don't get the payroll that they should be able to. Because I believe that our owner prefers to pocket money. He claims he's not, but I just don't see how. And I'll go into that in another episode. It's just mind-boggling. They are number one in revenue versus payroll. They bring in they have the biggest disparity in that. Number one in the whole um, Major League Baseball. That's crazy to me. And then he tries to say that he breaks even. If that's true, he's mismanaging something somewhere. Ryan Brazier is also a free agent. Brad Keller, I think we all hate to see that. Aaron Savali, Drew Pomeranz, Caleb Thielbar, Taylor Rogers. Willie Castro, Carlos Santana, Andrew Kittredge is not a free agent now. However, he was dealt back to Baltimore, which took the Cubs off the hook for his club option and the $1 million buyout. And the Baltimore Orioles bought in. They took the club option with Andrew Kittredge at $9 million. So he is back with Baltimore and Michael Soroka. A few awards that have been given out since the last time we talked. Gold Glove winners, Pete Crow Armstrong. I don't think there was any doubt, but still really cool. Once it was announced, got his first of, I'm sure, is going to be many Gold Gloves. Ian Happ got his fourth. This is the first time in the long history of the Chicago Cubs that there have been two outfield winners for the Cubs. That's pretty cool. And Nico Hoerner got his second. The Silver Slugger, Kyle Tucker got his second. I'm not real sure how, but he did. So kudos to him. That's really cool. I'm not trying to be a poo-poo. I just was pretty shocked when I heard that. So that's where we're at. With all those guys being free agents, on the 26-man roster right now, the Cubs would have as possible starters Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton, Jameson Taillon, Colin Ray, Javier Assad, and Justin Steele. That's 6 people. Assad, Ray, they could pitch out of the bullpen, which may happen. The Cubs did pick up Colin Ray's option, and then they renegotiated that. He got a slight raise, and with that slight raise came a 2027 club option at $6.5 million. So, kudos to Colin. Well earned. That guy pitched his heart out this year and was well above beyond what everybody thought. In the bullpen right now, there are guys like Daniel Palencia, Jordan Wicks, Ben Brown, and Porter Hodge. Catchers, we got Carson Kelly, Miguel Amaya, Reese McGuire. I don't know that Reese is going to be tendered a contract. I hope he is. I'm good with him carrying 3. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know. Maybe other people would. So we'll see. Michael Busch at first, Ballesteros at DH, Nico Hoerner at second, Matt Shaw at third, Dansby Swanson at shortstop, and Ian Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Seiya Suzuki as the outfield. The entirety of the Cubs payroll right now, as it stands, is $149,340,000. I would expect that the payroll to be similar to what it was this year, at about $225. A little more than that, but just to make it all simple, math-wise, we're going to say $225. But if we want to say $228 and be exact, then that gives the Cubs around $79 million to add to this year's roster. And the guys that I just talked about, not all of them are, I don't think, guaranteed to be on this roster. But they need to add to the bullpen for sure. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 10 men on the pitching staff right now. I think that is loose, probably the loosest position as far as where everything's set. We'll see. They definitely need to add to the bullpen. I would love to see them add at least one guy as a starter. I think with $79 million, or even if we just want to make it a rough 75 to make it simple, there's plenty of room to add a $25 to $30 million pitcher and a $25 to $30 million bat, for that matter. If you add a bat like that might be a little better with contact and or power, like major power, I think there may be a trade somewhere. I don't know. But even if you add one via free agency, the big bat or the starter, and or a bullpen guy, there's still, like, if you add $30 million, that's still $45 million left to fill in the bench, and because there's not much for the bench right now, there's just not. But guys who could be a bench are Alcantara and Casey, Kevin Alcantara and Owen Casey, and some other but I expect a lot of experience added to the bench, which makes sense because they're pretty young. I mean, Matt Shaw, Michael Busch, Ballesteros, or Casey, those are all young guys. PCA, we need to add more experience to that. Amaya's still kind of young. He's gaining in experience, but he's still kind of young, and he can't stay healthy. It's part of why I would love to see them keep Reese, because he does struggle to stay healthy. Amaya does. And I hate that because I think he's really coming on, and I hope that changes. And I hope that Reese enjoyed it here so much that he might be willing to go to AAA again for a little bit and see what happens. But you can't blame the guy if he wants to go find a major league spot, too, if they're not going to keep 3 catchers. I mean, there's a lot of options, I think. Bo Bichette is an option. Kyle Schwarber is an option. I like that idea. I really like the idea of Kyle Schwarber. This is what scares me. He just had his career year. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. As great as Kyle has been, he just had his career year. He's probably not going to top that year, but he's going to be paid as if a guy who's going to do that year for the next 3 to 4. That's what concerns me. What I love about it is the nostalgic part, but also, no matter what he does, if they get to the postseason, this guy is made for big moments. We saw that in 2016 and beyond. We saw what he is capable of. We have seen it since he's left. This man, Kyle Schwarber, is made for big moments, and he relishes in it. And he becomes superhuman. Like, this guy, I love Kyle Schwarber. And I would love to have them sign him. I just know that they're going to be limited in how much, at least for the time being, how many guys they sign at big contracts like that. And I would prefer to have somebody like Tucker or Bo Bichette or something. I don't know that I want Bregman. I would maybe trade for a guy. I don't know, like they did with Tucker. If they were to bring in a bat, though, no matter what it is, if it's just strictly a DH guy, Ballesteros probably needs to be involved in a trade for something else. If they bring in a guy who has more flexibility, maybe it's Casey. Maybe it's Ballesteros. Maybe it's whoever gets the best player back. Probably pitcher. But those are all possibilities. Guys to add to the bullpen. Guys who I think wouldn't cost an arm and a leg, but still would add a lot of value. Michael Kopech, Kyle Finnegan, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Gregory Soto, Phil Maton, Danny Colombe, Luke Weaver, Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias is probably going to want a chance at being the closer. I've seen no problem with giving somebody the chance, but don't promise it. Because I think that the Palencia deserves a chance as well for that. Weaver would probably want the same thing. And then you got 3 guys who are probably going to want to be told, yeah, you're the closer. But I don't think would cost as much as guys like Edwin Diaz and Robert Suarez. But these are Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley, Emilio Pagan, and Kenley Jansen. If any of those 4 guys were to come in, I don't think that Daniel Palencia would have a problem setting them up. I think Palencia cares about what's best for the team as well as himself, and just wants to be in a position where he's trusted. And I think he is trusted by Counsell at this point. Very much so. Those I would love to see 2 to 3 of those guys signed by the Cubs. I think we need to sign those guys if we're not keeping some of the guys that we are letting go. I still think that there's a good chance that at least Pomeranz or Thielbar come back. But I don't know about the rest of them. I would love to see Keller back. I just think Keller's going to get too much, and the Cubs aren't going to be willing to give him that much money. I think he's going to get $8 to $10 million a year, and I don't think the Cubs are going to be willing to sign him at that. But if there's a guy to sign at a multi-year deal with a little more money, Brad Keller's the guy because he's still young enough, and I think he found something there, and he loved pitching here. And I would expect him to – I think it's more repeatable, a better chance at being more repeatable with Brad, with what they found and what they were able to untap. So that's my hope with that. That's my thoughts. We'll focus more on trade targets on the next episode. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody listening, and I hope you all have a great day. Go Cubs.